Let's be real. Every developer gets a request that sounds super simple, but underneath, it's a total puzzle. Today, we're going to follow one of those quests, the journey of building one single coherent report from what is basically a tangled mess of data. Let's dive in and see how it's done.
So, meet Victor. He's our hero for this story. His manager needs a report that pulls information from 4 different tables. Now you can think of these as 4 separate spreadsheets that have no idea the others exist. Victor's job? He's got to make them all sync together in harmony. It's a classic challenge, right? Turning all that raw, disconnected data into something actually useful.
And it's not just about grabbing the data. Oh no. The manager has a very specific wish list. Every customer needs to be on their own separate page, all the amounts have to be totaled up, and this is a big one, if a section is totally empty, it shouldn't even show up. We want a clean report, not one full of blank spaces. This list right here, this sets the rules for Victor's quest.
Okay, so here's a really key idea you've got to get. Every single report is really 2 things at once. First, you've got the dataset. That's the what. It's the invisible foundation, all the raw data Victor needs to pull together. Then you have the layout. That's the how. It's the visual design, what the manager is actually going to see and use. Victor has to nail both of these to succeed.
All right, first things first, we've got to wrangle that raw data. This is all about building that foundation, getting the structure just right before we even think about what this thing is going to look like.
So where do you even start with a mess like this? Well, you start at the top. For this report, the main subject is the customer. Everything else is going to branch off from there. The customer is the parent.
Okay, so directly underneath each customer, Victor nests the next layer of info, their specific ledger entries. See, we're creating that parent-child relationship. Customer first, then their ledger entries. And you guessed it, we're going one level deeper. For every single one of those ledger entries, there might be even more granular data, the detailed entries. So those get nested under their parent ledger entry. And just like that, we have the 3-level data structure Victor needs.
So, how does Victor actually connect all these nested layers? He uses this special property called a DataItemLink. Honestly, you can just think of it as the glue, or kind of the secret sauce. It basically tells the report, hey, see the customer number in this table? It's the exact same thing as the customer number in that other table. That little link is what forges the connection and makes the whole hierarchy work.
Okay, with the data all tamed and structured, Victor can move on to phase 2, designing the visual blueprint. This is the fun part, where he turns that invisible data foundation into something the manager can actually read and understand.
Now, Victor's design process is super methodical. He starts with a master container, a list to hold the whole shebang. Then, he tells that list to group all the data by the customer number. After that, he sets up page breaks between each customer group. Then, he just inserts smaller tables inside this list for each type of data. And finally, he drops the specific data points, like the customer name or an invoice amount, right into the cells.
And you can see how he meets the manager's specific requests, right? The report needs to be wide, boom, he sets the orientation to landscape. It needs a new page for each customer, no problem. He just uses that page break property after grouping the data. Each one of these design decisions directly solves one of the initial challenges.
So now the report is functional. It works. But it's not finished. This next part is all about adding those professional touches that take a report from just a simple data dump to a truly useful tool.
Victor really focuses on 3 key areas here. First, he adds automatic totals using a simple sum function. Super easy, super helpful. Second, he figures out some clever ways to hide any section that doesn't have data, which keeps the output looking super clean. And third, he actually improves usability by adding tips and help links right into the report interface. Nice touch.
You know, one of the most elegant solutions he uses is this thing called the print only if detail property. It sounds complicated, but it's just a simple switch. When you turn it on, it basically tells the report, hey, if there's nothing to show here, just don't show it at all. This one little setting directly solves one of the manager's biggest headaches with a single line of code. It's awesome.
And this number 1? It might seem small, but it is huge. This one represents a critical final touch, discoverability. By setting a property called usage category, Victor makes sure that any user can just type the report's name into the main search bar and find it instantly. I mean, think about it. What good is a brilliant report if nobody can even find it?
And with all those pieces in place, we've reached the final stage. The quest is complete. It's time to look at the final result. A clear, actionable report delivered.
And this table just says it all, doesn't it? It's a perfect checklist of success. Every single requirement the manager had was met with a specific, smart, technical solution. New page for each customer, handled by the page break property. The totals, calculated with a simple sum expression. And those pesky empty sections, hidden away with that print-only if detail property. It's a total victory.
When you really boil it down, Victor's journey is a story of transformation. He took 4 completely separate, tangled sources of data, and, with some careful structure and thoughtful design, he wove them into a single, understandable, and genuinely useful business tool. He didn't just present data, he created clarity.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. Victor brought order to his company's data chaos, so the question for you is, what tangled data in your world is just sitting there, waiting for someone to build a report and turn it into clarity?